Are you an HR department of one, trying to figure out how to balance task and strategy while keeping up with changes in regulatory compliance? Do you need a fresh outlook on old topics? Then stop what you're doing, grab your coffee, and get ready to recharge. If you have people, you have problems to solve and things to do. Your host is Brenda Neckvattle, a 20-year human resource professional, ready to explore the HR industry with veterans of business and life with fresh eyes and new ideas. Learn about the rapidly evolving changes in employment law around the country, as well as new tactics to deploy and build engagement in your workforce. If you're looking to implement new practices to make your job easier in HR, then this podcast is for you.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Best Practices in Human Resources podcast. My name is Brenda the HR Lady. You can follow me over on BrendaTheHRLady.com, and I am super excited to have you guys here. We are plowing through today, and you know what? Be honest with you, we're kind of looking at how we're going to shape up the show moving forward, so you might wind up seeing me test a few things out, but you know what? Nonetheless, you're going to get great information. It's going to be pertinent, it's going to be relevant, and it's going to be timely. And a lot more energy, probably, mainly because I just, literally slammed a whole cup of coffee while I was doing this. So if this is the first time that you're listening in, just so thankful that you guys are here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you are a repeat listener, you know what? I love you guys so much, and I really appreciate each and every single one of you for hanging in there. This is our 108th episode. We've been doing this since November of 2018. This podcast has won business awards here in the U.S. as well as international awards, and apparently you probably can hear the birds outside because it's so nice that we've got the windows open and here in the studio and, work from home, right? All right, so I do have one announcement to make, and then we're going to be talking about making good choices today with my friend Marc Zalmanoff, and really looking forward to you hearing more about his story, his book, and how you can proceed forward. The big announcement that I have for you guys today is this. We are on the countdown to the launch of my book. And this is a kind of like a tell-all kind of book. It talks about how the path that I took to getting to where I landed in my career in HR. And it is called The Best Practices in Human Resources. No big shocker there, right? But it's pretty cool. And how to crawl your way from wannabe to VP in human resources. And it's an awesome little 250 pager of all sorts of really good, rich takeaways. I mean, everything that I did in my career to get where I wanted to go, I put in here. I talk about, looking at the kind of money that I wanted to make. We have an exercise for that towards the back. We talk about HR leadership. I'll tell you what, I even talk about the time when I almost got my butt fired. Okay. There's some real stuff in this book. It's pretty awesome. And all of the challenges that I had to overcome, because look, let's face it, we all have challenges to overcome. And when we are influenced by people's stories of the things that they achieved because they overcame adversity, you know what? It makes us better. So all of that is in there as well. So as well as celebrating some of the high times that I've had in life as well. So, but there's a ton of information. It's not just like a, tell-all book, but there's also information about how you can get yourself ahead. These are the actual tactical boots on the ground type of things that I did that will work for you. Absolutely. But you have to do the work. See, that's the key. You can read about it. You can listen about it if it's in an audiobook, which it's actually going to turn into an audiobook as well. You can research all the stuff that you want on Google. You can, go out. You can listen to what anybody has to say. But at the end of the day, if you're not where you want to be, if you're not where you imagined yourself to be, you got some work to do, love. You really do. You have to do the work. If you want to excel, you have to do the work. If you want to get to a certain point, you have to do the work. If you want a Gucci pair of sunglasses, you have to do the work in order to get it. If you don't do the work, it's not going to show, and you're going to be stuck in this funk about how you just long for something that you're never going to have because you haven't made the decision to get up and do that 1% extra that's going to get you your end result. Think about that. It's 1% extra. You know, part of the reason why I have the kind of life that I have and I have the things that I have is because I'm willing to go the extra mile. The stories that I have, the experiences that I have, I'm willing to go the extra mile. The financial stability that I have, I'm willing to go the extra mile for that. And it's only 1%. If you read the book Good to Great, you're going to find out that good to great isn't 10% effort, 20% effort, 15% effort, 35% additional effort. It's 1%. Everybody can do 1%. Look, there's even still things in my life that I can do 1% better. And I haven't chosen to do that yet. Now that I say it, I'm probably going to be held accountable for that. I'm going to start getting all kinds of emails. Why aren't you doing the 1%, Brenda? Yeah, I got it. Now I'm going to start doing the 1% there too. It's in my head and I'm not telling you. So there you go. But anyway, look, that's part of making good choices. It's also in the Best Practices in Human Resources book. Get your pre-sale today. It is going up for pre-sale now. And here's the cool part. You get your pre-sale, you're going to get an autographed copy. You're also going to go ahead and get a little goodie from me. But through now between June 4th at midnight, because June 5th, this puppy dog drops. June 4th to midnight, anybody who purchases a signed copy will also be entered into a contest that will run for the next 29, how many ever days are left until the launch. And you will get a massive care package from me. We're talking about like $250 worth of incredible merchandise at the minimum. At the minimum. Just a care package of nothing but cool love coming from Brenda, the HR lady, and we want to get that out to you. So that's going to be a random drawing. So to get the care package, to get the goodie bag, and I may even along the way flash a little what might be going into it. I might give you a little teaser. Just watch for that over on social media channels. We'll definitely put that out there. But yeah, I'm gonna do a big giveaway, huge giveaway at the launch of this book. At minimum $250 worth of value in that care goodie bag, and it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be great. So how do you do it? You go to BrendaTheHRLady.com, click shop at the top, order your copy today. You can't miss it. You'll see it's the very first thing up on the book. It is called Best Practices in Human Resources: How to Crawl Your Way from BP or Wannabe to VP. Totally screwed that up. I don't know why I can't seem to say it straight today, but that's okay. That's all right. All right. So today we're going to be talking with my friend Marc Zalmanoff. Hang on there for a little bit. And I don't have any other HR news for you right at the moment, just simply because there's so much going on. We're doing a little bit of a reformat here on the podcast episode. Simply because we've got some other really good stuff coming down the pike, and we want to make sure that it gets delivered in a really great manner, and that you're getting the maximum out of it. So hang in there for a few minutes, and you're gonna be talking to my pal Marc.
There are approximately 2,500 members of the U.S. Special Operations Community who transition out of active duty military service every single year. The Honor Foundation has dedicated its mission to serving these elite individuals on their journey to prepare for life once they take off the uniform. In the past few years, we've begun our own journey to reach this number, launching 3 physical campuses in San Diego, California, Virginia Beach, Virginia, and near Wilmington, North Carolina, along with a virtual campus to reach members of the community anywhere on the planet. I spent 26 years in the Special Operations community as a SEAL. I graduated from THF's program, I served on the board of directors, and now I'm proud to lead this organization into the future to continue assisting these transitioning service members and their families. Our dedicated team, our world-class program, and our incredible tribes of supporters are standing by to help THF alumni and future fellows, and are committed to providing the best possible support system and resources to better serve this community. Our vision for the Honor Foundation is clear: to impact every transitioning service member from the U.S. Special Operations Enterprise through our programs and support. and to be a catalyst for overhauling the entire DoD transition program. It's a big task, but the community deserves it, and we're driving full steam ahead to make this a reality. If you've been inspired with what the Honor Foundation's done in the last 5 years, I welcome you all to join us as we craft the next chapter in defining what it means to serve others with honor for life.
All right, guys, if I got a treat for you today, we're going to have some fun and with a really fun individual. So we're probably going to do a lot of laughter. Marc, I hope you wear your waterproof mascara because we're probably going to need it today. I know I would.
That's the only mascara that
I know, right? Oh my gosh. So today we're going to be talking about make good choices. Holy cow. Doesn't that have a lot to do with HR? And I want to welcome my new BFF, Marc Zalmanoff, to the show. How are you, sir?
I am fabulous. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, this is so just so people know that you are one of my Dallas buddies. They do know that I go down to Dallas, and it is my way to learn and rejuvenate and continue to develop myself. And Marc is actually part of this group, and just got done launching his Amazon #1 best-selling book, Make Good Choices. So I thought, you know what, we're gonna help Marc out. Yeah, exactly right. How's that feel?
Really, really good.
I bet it is. And you guys can actually,
For anybody, I mean, you know this, but for anybody that's written a book and gone through that whole process, it's a process. And, when you think that, okay, I've written it, here's my manuscript, like that's only half of the battle. Then you got editing and formatting and cover design and Amazon optimization and all those other things. So it's a journey for sure.
Yeah, it is. I've done it twice already, and I've got my new book coming out in June. So I'm pretty excited about it. So that'll be a good one. That'll be an interesting read. But anyway, not about my book, about your book. So make good choices. Boy, if that isn't just like the ultimate HR parody that we want. Brian, I swear, you know what we should do? We should, before even anybody knows what this book about, we should actually have every company on the planet use this book as a requirement as part of their onboarding process. This is how you make, this is how you stay out of trouble. And this is how you do well in life. Make good choices.
Done.
Yeah,
We'll put the Amazon link out. We'll make it happen. They can buy a hat too while they're at it.
There you go. That's right. So tell us about the book, if you would, and then tell us a little bit more about what got you to that point.
So the book is a weekly read. Every week you read the passage, and a lot of it's based on Stoicism, old philosophy, common wisdom things that a lot of us hear but don't necessarily understand how to apply it. And then there's a journal prompt for every one of those. So you read, you journal, and then you come back the next week. And, my goal with the book is really, obviously to help people make good choices, but to understand how implementing the knowledge that we gain actually leads down that path. And, there's so many of us that we read and we absorb all this stuff, but then we never do anything with it because we don't know what to do with it. So if I can provide a tool that allows people to go, oh, well, that makes sense, and have some perspective on it and understand how they can actually apply it in their life, not just but not for me, then I'm doing jobs. That's really the goal. And I'm a fitness professional by trade, and I love the interactive portion of my career, and I love the relationships that I form. So it was kind of fitting to have a book that was intended to be interactive and intended to be what I call a long-term relationship with people, and not just something that somebody reads and sticks on the shelf and they never see it again.
Yeah, those books, it's not a dusty book. That's for sure. But you're absolutely right though. So like, if you look at, I'm sure you probably haven't studied adult learning theory, but honestly, adult learning theory is that, we hear something and we only retain about 25% of what we hear, right? So we're about ready to spend 2 days together down in Dallas with this monster event that we're going to. And I promise you, everybody's going to take away these really crazy important nuggets, but it's going to be the stuff that resonates with them the deepest that they're going to retain. And the other stuff is that's where you have to constantly keep renewing, because the way adults learn is that we absorb, but then we have to go out and apply. If just like what you're talking about, that if you just, read information and then you don't do anything with it, it goes away. And that's,
Right.
and that's a crying shame, because there's so much really great information that's out there today. And, but it has to be relevant for adults, and it has to be something that we can implement relatively quickly.
Yeah. And I think implementation is the difference between those who achieve and those who don't.
Oh, totally.
Because we all have access to knowledge.
Yep.
I've said it for millionaires with six-pack abs.
So we have a little bit of a funky lag in the internet. So if I have a delayed laugh, it's not that I didn't find what you said was like, oh, I should laugh now. No, it's like, because I'm just getting to it. Oh my gosh, that's okay. We'll just keep chugging along, because that's what winners do, right? We just keep crushing it. All right.
Right.
I know, I hear you. So I know this was just a relatively new release, but for those who have read your book so far, because I think you're in a really awesome position to where you're going to hear some pretty amazing stories coming out of this. Like, people are going to start giving you feedback like, oh, dude, I ran in, this happened to me and this occurred for me. Has that started to happen just yet?
Not yet, but what's interesting is this book is kind of a compilation of a lot of things that have already been out in the world at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that follow me, the people that are on my email list, my clients that are in-house, like, they've heard some of this stuff before. So I've gotten feedback on some of it already, which really helped me to determine what actually went in the book.
Nice.
Because, when I would put a post out, or I'd write something and send it out, and people would respond to them like, oh, well, I didn't think it was that good, but somebody else did. So there we go. I mean,
that's
we never think ourselves like, oh, right. So I think I've had some experience already with some of this content, just because it's been out already in some form or fashion before. And again, it's always fun, because I know that the things that I go through in life, I can use to teach others.
Yeah.
And whether it's personal experience or things I watch or read or engage with, I'm always looking for that opportunity. How can I be a better coach? How can I relay this information in a way that relates to the person that's in front of me to help them solve their problem? And so it's kind of fun. I love the way that we think, and I think people, I'm gonna say think a whole lot right now. People don't think enough about what they think about.
Yes.
And if we can get people to be even just a little more mindful, I think a lot of people could lead a lot better existence just from having an awareness of what's going on between their ears.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you know what? There's a lot of people out there where everything is a nail and they are the hammer. And it's just, just look at Twitter, right? Twitter in and of itself, people all of a sudden they see something, and it's like, first you have to remember, it's like, look, social media isn't real. I mean, it's a place for people to be somebody that they're not, or they can showcase who they are, but you will really never know the difference, right? Unless you actually know that person. And so, we've had a lot of opinions in the last, 15 months now, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. But you see, that's what happens, is that we just, all of a sudden, everything just becomes a nail. And I agree with you. It's like, they don't take the time to stop and ask themselves before they smack it. Like, in the grand scheme of things, how is this going to matter? If I'm on my deathbed, how much of an impact is this one event going to make in my life?
Right. There's a quote that says, if it won't matter 5 years from now, it shouldn't matter 5 minutes from now. And I think a lot of us could use that advice constantly.
See, make good choices. Please make
folks.
that one.
Come on.
I know, right? Please do me a favor, make that one. So what would you say is your favorite part of the book?
It's a good question. You know, there's a couple of passages in there that have to do with the movie Gladiator, which is my all-time favorite movie. And I really enjoy extracting things from places where most people probably wouldn't even look to pull a lesson from. But you know, when you're a business owner for a long time and you're around a bunch of entrepreneurs and people, like, you start to look for those things.
Yep.
And it's hard to shut it off, you don't have to shut it off, but it's really hard to shut it off. And so everything you look around and you're like, ooh, there's a lesson. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I walk into businesses now, I see things differently. I'm looking at, like, how much was their build out and how are their procedures and how is their customers? Like, I'm analyzing all those things constantly. And so I do like that. But, you know, there's some backstory about me in the book about, you know, kind of how I was raised, what really just shaped who I am. And there's a lot of people that probably know some of that story. But, you know, I think one thing I've definitely learned over the past couple of years in the business ownership realm, in the self-branding realm, is the more you are you, the more you get to have the audience that you really love, and the more the right people come along that want to do business with you and want to engage with your content and support you. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons this book, you know, took off like a rocket ship from the beginning. Was I really have a lot of great people on my team and in my corner that want to see me succeed because I want to see them succeed as well.
Right, exactly. And you know, when you're talking about from the branding standpoint, you know, that's a piece that I talk about with you know, with HR pros. It's like the more you are you. And it's hard. I mean, it's really easy to get lost in who you are in this field because you're on the constant service side of things. You're never doing anything for yourself. Like if you think about it, right? You wake up in the morning, if you have a family, you're running around taking everybody's problems on. You go to work and that's your job, is to help take everybody's problems on. And then you go home to do nothing but go home and take everybody else's problems on. Right. So it's really easy to get lost in yourself in that because you just get so tuned in. And I've fallen victim to this, is that all of a sudden you're trying to please everybody around you, but you forget the most important person. And that is, you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else. And so, you know, I like how in this, in how your book operates, is that you can sit down. It's a weekly event. You sit down, you take in a lesson, and then you get to reconnect with yourself again.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, there's a reason they tell you to put your mask on first. Well,
That's right.
actually, now they tell you to take your mask off and then put the other mask on.
You were going to go there, weren't you?
You know, I say don't make that announcement and just let things play out the way they need to play out. I don't know.
Survival of the fittest is what you're saying. Then the herd.
But yeah, I mean, you do. You have to take care of yourself if you want to take care. We can all give a lot. Like, there's a lot of people that can really, really give a lot for a long time, but at some point you will suffer if you do not take care of yourself first.
You're gonna suffer. And that's the thing, is that when you realize that you haven't, it, not that it's too late, but it's a deeper hole that you have to climb out of.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a fair, I mean, just look at, you're in the fitness industry, right? Look what happens when somebody doesn't take care of themselves for a long time. And then they show up and they're like, dude, I want to be like Dolph Lundgren or something, you know, and, you know, just ripped with, you know, hell, I don't want a 6-pack. I want a 12-pack. And it's like, you can't even do 4 push-ups, you know, like that's not going to happen today, you know, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. And like you said, the longer you wait, well, and you know, there's research that talks about how by the time we're like 35 years old, our operating system is basically set. Like the things that we do, the habits we have, the thoughts we think, all of it is set in stone. And that's why it's so much harder as we get older to change our habits and routines.
Yeah.
When you start those things early, you just have such a huge advantage over everyone else. When you wait till you're, 45, 50 to go, oh, crap, I need to get in shape. Like that's rough. It can happen. And I see people do it all the time, but man, it's a whole lot harder doing it then.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it's a lifetime that you're battling. You're up against a lifetime of thought, of mindset, of practice. And look, we're Americans. We don't like being uncomfortable.
Nope. Sure don't.
No, we do not. No, 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 no. Oh my gosh. That's awesome. So what else about the book that you think would be a real bonus for folks? I mean, you and I are very much about, constant learning, you have to be developing yourself on a regular basis. And I think if you really want to be successful in life anywhere, you have to do that. Doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur. It really doesn't matter. But what else about the book do you think would be a really great help for people who are interested in checking it out?
I think number one, I think it appeals to the masses, and not that I wrote a book thinking, everyone can benefit from this, but it's not, again, with my health and fitness background, it's not a health and fitness book. It's not a workout book. It's not a diet book. We can all think better. Like there's no one above that. And so from a standpoint of how can I make the greatest impact possible, which is my mission in life, I think the book appeals to everyone. And I will say, you asked a little while ago about feedback. Now, I had this lady come in this morning to my gym. She's a regular client of mine. I love her. She's 69 years old, super, super fit. Like, we're like, come on, she'll do things. We're like, whatever, Sally. But I love her. She's awesome. But there's a part in the book where I talk about how for a long time, I did not read anything at all. I hated it. I had such a horrible experience in high school of being forced to read this and I was like, and there was, I don't know, probably a good decade, 12, 13 years maybe that I didn't read a book at all.
Yep.
And somewhere along the line, I found a couple of things that interested me and I started reading and I was like, oh, maybe this isn't so bad. And really just started to embrace it. And then I started to figure out, oh, wow, like this can really change my life. And, for a book that's 10, 20 bucks, I mean, it's still the best value in the world. If you can buy a book and change your life and make $1 million from it, like it's a pretty good investment.
That's a good ROI right there. That's a return on your investment.
And so what Sally told me this morning, she said, she goes, I'm not a reader either. She goes, I hate reading. Like I fall asleep. I get bored with it. She goes, but I'm really enjoying this book.
That's awesome.
And she's like, I really like that it's just this short little thing. And then I can move on and come back to it again. And so I think for people who were in that realm, like I was, of not being a reader and thinking that it's boring and, not wanting to sit there for 20, 30 minutes, I think there's some value in somebody being able to just pick it up and 5 minutes later, they can put it on, put it down, move about their day, but now it's in their head.
Yeah.
You can't unknow things that you now know.
That's right. Well, you might. But no, that you're right. You can't unknow the things that you know, especially if you absorb it.
Forget about it. Yeah, you can try to ignore it.
Yeah.
But once you know it, you know it.
Dang it! Yeah, I know, right?
And so I think the little nuggets like that I relate it to now in the real world and problems that we face when people go, oh, I never thought about it that way. Like something I've talked about this many times. When you're sitting in traffic and nobody likes traffic. And it's so frustrating. And it's like one of the few things that actually like gets under my skin personally. And so there's ways that I've learned to kind of deal with that, whether it's just, relaxing or listening to a podcast. So I take my mind off of what I'm doing in the moment, or, if somebody cuts me off in traffic, I just think, they probably got diarrhea. They got to get to the bathroom pretty quick, And so that makes me feel better and I don't get all angry about somebody cutting me off. So, just little things like that.
Oh, you know what? But there probably is somebody out there that's having that little bit of an issue.
Could be.
But that's the thing. It's life. It's really funny that, we don't, it's not that we forget, we just don't remember to step out of what we see in the world and actually say, I wonder what's going on over there. Like, I
Right.
wonder what's happening with that. Wonder why that is. And, we get into this. So not only and I've said this a number of times, that I don't think I've ever really talked about it. Not in depth, not like I'm about ready to, but, I mentioned earlier, we as Americans, we do not like being uncomfortable. Well, human in general, everywhere, we do not like ambiguity even more. And so, like what you were just saying, like you gave a great example on how you turned the mindset around so it's a positive rather than a negative. And my number one live and die rule is, in the absence of information, people make stuff up. When we don't know something, we have to attach a story to it to have some level of comfort to what we feel around it. And if you think about it just a minute, like all of a sudden you'll get this epiphany, like, oh, dude, that is so right. And, you can do it in one of two ways. You did it in a very positive way in your example, but most people aren't programmed that way. You actually have to consciously think about it, which is exactly what you described. And most people will actually instinctively react with like, wow, they're just blah, 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 blah. And, they'll just start in their head, just that little committee back there, and all that judgment start flowing out. And that doesn't help anybody.
It's so true. Our buddy Chris Whitehead, and when he talks about standard operating procedures, he's like, if you don't tell someone how to do it, they will make up their own way.
Mhm.
And that's what we do.
It may not be the right one.
It's not going to be how you want it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because you didn't tell them how to do it.
Right.
And I love that, though. It makes me, what you just described, though, makes me think of that movie Inside Out, where you got all the little emotions in your head and they're controlling all your actions and thoughts and stuff. And, like the little angry guy's like, he's got his head up or whatever.
But it makes sense, right? We let the demons out inside of our head. Or, if we have some semblance of control, then we got the angels that are, so it's like this constant battle with the angel and the demon on your angel and a devil on your side. I call it the good girl and the bad girl, right? And sometimes one will smack the crap right out of the other one, to be honest with you. So,
well, and especially in an age where we text so much, that's most people's primary form of communication, I would imagine now, is, texting, commenting, DMing. And, I would imagine in an HR setting, things get lost in translation and somebody's feelings get hurt and somebody gets offended, and where, because there's no tone, like we still don't have the sarcasm font that somebody needs to make. We just need to determine what font that is so we can all use it.
Exactly.
But there's no inflection when you text somebody. No. So unless they know you really, really well and understand your verbiage, that can cause a whole myriad of issues of just miscommunication. And then, then you got to clean up the mess.
Yeah. And, too, and I'm glad you said that, because when it comes, because you're right, because people hide behind technology. They hide behind technology and they overuse it at the same time. And I think that's why, one of the reasons like Clubhouse has been such a hit is that we're beyond that. It's like, you can't hide inflection. You can't hide attitude. You can't hide snark, and you can't interpret it. You can't misinterpret all of that either, right? You know it when you hear it. And so, but you're absolutely right. Is when it comes to communication, I think technology is great, but you still have to rely on your abilities as a human being to exist. And, too many businesses actually put too much information in a digital format. And, we were in that one session, and it launched me into this whole long thought process while I was listening at the same time. About somebody asked the question, like, how can you terminate your employees and not be involved, like, at all? It's like, well, I think you only have like 5 employees or something like that, right? So I'm sorry, you're going to be involved, but I've actually seen people terminate people via email, and it's like, no, you got to remember that person is still probably, it may be convenient for you, but you know what, that person has a say and has a voice, and there's technology that could drive your business to the ground, but that person also could still potentially be a customer. So why would you do that? Make good choices, right?
Make choices. That's right.
Make good choices.
You're so right. We lose the human element so quickly now.
Yeah, we do.
And I think oftentimes we also forget where we were. We forget that we were those people at some point. Like we were the ones that, were the low man on the totem pole and trying to work our way up and just trying to figure out what the hell we're doing in life.
Yeah.
And it's easy to lose perspective of that too. And, so many of us end up in this spot where, for years we wished we were here and now we're here.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, well, now what?
Then we don't know what to do.
We don't know what to do. But then, like I said, then we forget about what it was like to be there too.
Yeah.
And the golden rule to me always still applies. Like you just treat people kindly because you never know what people are going through. And that's a great point. Like that could be a customer later on. That could be a referral to somebody else that could actually be a better fit in that company. And if they left on a good note, they're like, you know what, I actually had a good time there. It wasn't a good fit, but maybe you would be a good fit.
Yep.
So you never know where those connections can be made and what it means for you, 2 months down the road, 2 years down the road, whatever it may be.
Yep. Absolutely. And here's another one. Make good choices. I swear every time we hear a dumb story, we should whisper under our breath to each other, make good choices. See, implement the book and just everybody's subconscious that way.
I'm going to get a pull string doll that just like, it looks like me and just make good choices.
A chatty Mark. A memory Mark. That's awesome. Oh, I love it. So can you please help everybody know? I really appreciate you coming on today. Can you please let everybody know where they can find your book?
Just go on the Amazons. That's the easiest place. Make Good Choices, the book. My name is Marc, M-A-R-C, last name Z-A-L-M-A-N-O-F-F. If you search my name, I come up there as well. And then what's also cool is when you get the book, there's a bunch of other goodies that come along with it. So there's a link in the book. I'm not going to give you the link because you have to go get the book. But there's a link in the book. You click the link, you go to the place, and you put your info in, and I got some more stuff for you to help out with your fitness and nutrition and your mindset. And then you get to be all in my ecosystem, which is fun. And it's usually full of memes too. So that's always nice.
Yeah. And that's a good place to start, folks, that if you are looking to make a different path for yourself, because I think everybody wants a different path. It's just, they have to get that self-motivation out there to do it. And if you're out there looking at, Marc's a great avenue. Marc's a really great avenue to tap into. He's going to help change your mindset. He's, going to reiterate a lot of really cool things that I talk about too, but he's funnier at it.
But one of my core values is entertainment.
Yes, I can see that.
I have 4 very strong core values, and one of them is entertainment. And I can tell you throughout my life, whether I was making no money or all the money or in between money or whatever it was that I was doing, I've just always wanted to have fun. And, I can always remember joking around with my dad and my grandma and just, having a good time and always having a smile on our faces. And I've just tried to keep that, throughout the years, because look, life can beat us down. It can be rough.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I learned a long time ago that most people, I'm not going to say, look, I got first world problems, but most people get to choose their hard. And that means you get to choose the way that you respond to things, and you get to choose whether you wake up and go, you know what, I'm going to be happy today. Like, so what? It's storming outside and the deal fell through and I got in a fight with my spouse. I'm going to be happy today, and we'll figure the rest of it out. Because like we said before, a lot of it won't matter. It really, really won't. And I think that perspective is so key to living a less stressed, I can't say stress-free because we all got stressed, but just a less stressed life when you're like, you know what, that's not that big of a deal. You just, you pivot and you move on and you put a smile on your face and you eat a Cadbury egg and you're good to go.
What are your other core values?
Intention.
Oh, nice.
Integrity and empathy.
Nice.
Yeah, and so much of that has to do with, a lot of it has to do with my profession. I've always been told I'm empathetic. I'm very good at meeting people where they are with their health and fitness. I've always seen the value of hard work and dedicating yourself to something. So that's where the intention really comes into play. And, you know, integrity is everything. And, you know, there's been times in my life that I wasn't living in integrity, and my life suffered because of it.
Yep.
And
Well, we all go through that.
You know, I mean, I think it's normal. We have to go through some of those hardships and face things ourselves to go, oh yeah, I don't want to live that way. Like, I don't want to be that way. And then you see what happens when you are in integrity. You're like, oh shit, everything's better this way. Like, wow, you mean when I make good choices and do the right thing and do the right thing when nobody's looking, that like life's better? Who did this? This is amazing. Nobody told me.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. You know what? We all go through periods of life where we're not, I mean, and even when we have our homes in order, right? We have our house in order, so to speak, right? There's still areas where we're not living in integrity.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not something that it's just like you show up one day and you're like, ta-da, I'm in integrity. You know, it doesn't work. It's just like, yeah, you are there. Let's take a look at the other 360 degrees of what's going on in your world, right?
Amen.
But
Amen to that.
But that's the piece. That's make good choices. That's where you keep focusing. It's like you see where you're out and you plug back in, and then you see where you're out and you plug back in again. And it could be a relationship. It could be, you know, communication. It could be, you know, you accidentally dropped the ball on something, or you made a mistake, or, you know, all of a sudden you just look in the mirror and you go like, holy crap, I'm out of integrity with myself. Like, I'm lying to myself that I can do something and I'm not really wanting to do it, you know? It's just, it's not good, but you know, we all do it. It's just part of being human, but I love that it's what you strive for. Is that your number one, or do you have 4 in general, or is there like one specific, like a number one?
I think integrity, if I had to put them in order, I think integrity has to be number one, because it drives everything else.
It is. That's,
you know, if you're living in integrity, all those other things kind of end up lining up.
Yeah, I would agree. I totally agree. That's what mine is too. So, well, that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
You know, I say it all the time. Any chance I get to go run my mouth somewhere, I will gladly accept it. So I very much appreciate you having me on, and for supporting my book, and helping spread the message.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm wanting to do.
You know what we should do? I haven't done this for a while, and oh my gosh, you would be so much fun doing this with. So I did a podcast years ago to where I got a list of the dumbest things that employees did, and I had a guest on, and I would just tell the story and watch the reaction. I couldn't think of a better way to promote your book long-term than to do that episode again with you. And just watch you go. Yeah,
very nice.
We'll see. Well, thank you so much again, and I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.